open the hui. So we'll just open with a karakia. So, e te atua kaharawa kia tata mai koe kia mātou mō tēnei rā, manaki te a mātou mahi katoa, e runga e te ingoa o te matua, o te tama, o te wairua tapu, ake ake, āmene.
Āmene. Kia ora.
All right, so apologies. So yeah, Yvonne for lateness. And the Mayor might be late too. I'm not sure if he is coming on, because sorry, we were just in another hui. So can I have a mover for those apologies? Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Okay, and any conflicts of interest?
I have conflict. I'm chairman of the organisation that's applied for funding. I'll probably be presenting along with Diana Hapeni when the time comes.
Okay.
Still on the board of Whakamaru School. Saw the application first time when I read it, so yeah.
Okay. All right, then. So thank you. We'll note those. Okay, so I'm sorry, can we get a mover and a seconder for the conflicts of interest? So I'll move them, and yeah.
Sorry.
When we don't have the screens on, I can't see the hands up.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so minutes of the last meeting. So everyone's seen the minutes?
Yeah.
Just seeing whether there were any matters arising or any corrections to those minutes.
There were just a couple of spelling mistakes in 4.4. I think it says karori instead of korari. And also further down in my comments, it's got a different, it's Mangakino rangatanga, and I think it's Mangakino rangateratanga or something. 4.5 and probably second or third sentence.
Orangatanga?
Yes, Mangakino rangatanga.
Orangatanga.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So,
sorry, Kirsty, just read. Did you get that, Shani?
Thank you. Yes, we can. If you're happy to confirm the minutes, we'll note them as amended, confirmed as amended. Those amendments to spelling.
Thank you, Shani. All right, can we get a mover and a seconder for that?
I'm happy to move, thanks.
Thank you, and I'll second it. Yeah, thanks. Okay, item 4.1, the new Mangakino school principal.
Madam Chair,
yep.
The school principal has submitted her apologies for this meeting. She's unable to attend now due to commitments at the school. However, we'll invite her to the next meeting. Get her on that agenda.
That'll be great.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. So we just leave that. We don't need to move anything. Just
That's
leave it.
right. Just withdrawn. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so we'll go to 4.2 and the Mangakino-Pouakani community grants.
Kia ora koutou. I suppose we should probably get through the presentations first. Has everyone seen that there's 10 applications? Had a read through. I'm just trying to look to see if Julie's here from the Lakeland Power Boats. She was going to present at 10:10. We're running ahead of schedule, so maybe Marlene could present first from the Mangakino Central Charitable Trust.
Kia ora koutou, e karema. You'll notice that I've got Lara Davies on my screen. I'm not Lara Davies. For Marlene Puka Ingoa, no Mangakino Aho. So as mentioned in our application, we started this and that community resale shop at the end of January 2022 by putting a call out to community for the donations. The support for this has been and continues to be amazing. Very quickly, it has become evident that this is a much needed resource and it's the community.
Just about ready.
Ensuring that our lower income whānau have a place to purchase quality goods and working alongside other community organisations for our donations, supplying much needed items for whānau. Not only are we meeting community needs, but we are also diverting waste that would otherwise be destined for landfill. So what we're requesting funding will be used for the rental of premises and wages for a coordinator. Our long-term vision for the funds that come into the shop is to be able to then distribute back into the community through a community grants program to support projects, activities, and that benefit the social, cultural, and environmental well-being of the people within Mangakino and Whakamaru and surrounding areas. Thank you for allowing us to apply for this fund, and that's me.
Oh, that's great. Has anyone got any questions?
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
My connection seems to be pretty weak. Everything's about stop-start, but I would just have one question. Question here, you're looking for some money for some wages. How many people do you employ?
Okay, so we have actually already employed 2 people on a job share basis. So they work week about.
Right.
So the wages would be split between the Art and Soul gallery that we are also running at the same time, but both shops are right next door to each other. So we'll be splitting the wages between Art and Soul and the op shop.
These 2 new employees are just the only 2 you employ then? You don't have other people as well?
We have volunteers.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, yeah, so we do run the shop through with volunteers as well.
Okay.
Yeah, my question was, Marlene, thank you, was just, do you get funding through New Zealand Post to employ somebody?
Yes, we do. Very minimal, which we employ the postie, of course.
Yes.
And then we get a contract rate for the NZ Post agency as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions?
Sorry, I might have missed it earlier. I could have gotten it. Was it how many? It's a job share, but it's sort of, it's obviously part-time, is it? Was it 20 hours a week?
22 and a half hours a week.
Per person, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fortnightly per person.
Yeah. Okay.
I've just got a quick question. Is there a shop that you could have fit in both places?
Sorry, say that again.
Is there a shop that both places could have fit into instead of renting 2 shops?
Well, the 2 shops that we have are as I say, right next door to each other. So it seemed the ideal place for to have both. The op shop side of it has filled up very quickly. So my answer to that is probably no. Within the town area, there's probably not anywhere where we could have done both, with the gallery, the NZ Post agency, as well as the op shop.
And an empty shop, I mean, looks horrible. So you're occupying 2 of them. So, you know, it does look better if there's something in the shop. So
Totally.
Yeah. And so it's a lot of feel good to lots of things these days.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marlene. Especially this is our first time doing this on Zoom. So appreciate you coming on, being first up.
Thank you.
Okay, Rose, back to you.
So our next group is Mangakino-Pouakani Representative. I think Leanne was going to present, but I see someone else there.
Yeah, it's going to be me, Rose. Kia ora. Ko whatu tēnei, and Diana Hapini as well. So as you can see in front of us, in front of you, there is our application, and we're an organisation that has come about, created through Hui with Lake District Health Board about 3 years ago now. And it's a forum to identify just Māori health issues within Mangakino. And our kaupapa or mission is to progressively empower and improve the well-being of all our people. And so in doing that, we've been heavily involved in all the vaccinations, working in conjunction with Whanawura, Te Arawa Whanawura, and Leanne works for them, and we run our, it's called Whanawura Ki Mangakino. And we're just applying for funding. We've been, for the last, probably, we've done 3 at present. Once a month, we deliver a kai to our kaumātua. Diane's the lead on that, so I'll let you talk about that. We've also been heavily involved in all the vaccinations and working alongside Te Arawa Te Arawa COVID response group, who managed to support us, and through our organisation we provided snack packs and drinks, water and whatnot for our workers, and also for those who are getting their vaccination programs, vaccinations. So we've done 12 to date, and we've supported that right through. So getting back to our application, just in the Manaaki kai, I'll let Diane speak on that. Thank you.
Nā mihi koutou kia ki ngā mema o te pōari. Ko Diana Hipine hau no Mangakino. I've been in Mangakino Rangatanga since its inception at a meeting with the health boards, etc. And as a direct result of that, I've had a leaning towards our kaumātua and supplying a meal. It came about, probably started when COVID hit, so it was timely, and we were looking at ways in which to support and tautoko them. And even though right up to today, it may not, the need in terms of being fed may not be as great, but to us, it is about maintaining this connection of caring. They like to know that somebody is actually thinking of them, and that we visit them and they look forward to it. So in terms of the funding, we've been very lucky to have had a very generous donation from a local business that has helped us along, but we go through that pretty quickly. We will be going through that pretty quickly, because we are aiming to try and supply a lunch, which is big enough also for their dinner, once a month for the next year, or at least to the end of the year. And we will be having our 4th meal going out tomorrow. I'd like to acknowledge, though, that we have been having some very generous donations from local people, giving food, giving time, and their effort to us to enable this. Yeah, I'd prefer to answer your questions rather than me try and think of what you might like to hear. So, kia ora koutou.
Kia ora Diane and Whatu. Question that I had was, are we asking the community for donations towards this, like as in kai donations, like on Facebook or anything? Because if we are, I haven't seen it, because I would have donated something. Yeah.
We haven't as of yet. We've been fortunate that within our little rōpū, that our own members have giving food. So my menus that I put out once a month have been reliant on what we have received in terms of donations. For instance, we got a big bag of kumara, so I developed a menu around that would utilise the kumara. to save us buying them. We have just recently received from, well, a business, lots of environment-friendly containers for us to deliver the food. So we've been relying, well, not relying on that, because we do have some pūtea through generous donations, and plus the hard work that our members have done in catering for the vaxxers. We received quite a generous donation from Te Arawa COVID response, and we're still using some of that. So our group has partially set aside a generous amount of money towards the Manaaki Kai that allows us to continue. But the price of food, etc., goes up, and so it is harder to do. But I have no doubt that we will continue whichever way. So aha ko he eti, he pounamu. So no matter whatever we get, to us it's a treasure.
Just in response to that too, and this is regarding about the sustainability, we wanted to see whether we can maintain it. And that's why we haven't gone fully out to ask for donations or anything throughout the community. We want to ensure that we had the manpower that we can be able to sustain and create doing it. As of now, we're looking pretty comfortable and being able to have the people to support it. So we may go out to the community and look for more sponsorship, and also for donations, also for the other part of our application too, in regarding our gardens that we want to create. I think for us, that is something that for the future. At present, we can probably gather a few more resources ourselves, but we just thought we'd apply now to see if there's anything available to us. I think our kai is probably our major priority at this point in time. Got it.
I've got, is it okay, Kirsty? I've just got it. So I suppose just future thinking, Diane, if you're wanting any support from my space and helping maybe get it out on social media, or once your group has decided a look and all of that, I'm happy to support in that space. And I think it's a fabulous thing, especially keeping connected with our older community and just showing that they're still super valued, you know, just in whatever way, even if it's just a hello. So the other thing I thought was also like when you were saying about gardens and that, like we've got a relatively well-established community garden that's run with volunteers, and there has been in the past the opportunity to extend that into the next site. So whether that would be helpful if half the work was already done. So whether there's connections in the future once you're more stable as it can be had would be amazing.
Yeah. I'd like to respond to that. We also have a quite a little thriving garden down here at the marae. However, where the idea of doing more smaller home gardens came from a request by some old people, our queer, who didn't feel comfortable or quite able to go down to the local one. So they would like nothing better than to have just a small one at their doorstep that they could tend to. So our proposal was to use quite as much recycled material as we could get to build one at quite a cheap cost. We could probably do it a lot cheaper than what we've even got on the paper. But it was about like letting them have a little bit of self-sufficiency at home. It also, my idea is to also go back once a fortnight, maybe once a month, depending on the need, to help with the weeding and to help with, like take people with us. We've got some great gardeners amongst us who would help with the sustainability and the production for that household. But it comes from probably a request from the old people who prefer to stay home, to be honest.
Once again, it was through COVID, so that isolation period and stuff like that to keep themselves occupied, and and
it's theirs.
Yeah, sorry, I totally agree with that. And I suppose my thinking was around what the actual physical work that you're doing, preparing those monthly meals, whether that sorry, I probably wasn't clear whether the community garden would be supporting in a way for the back end, but absolutely having their own veggie gardens, there's a certain amount of joy of creating and eating from your own vegetable garden. I totally get that. And do you use, you mentioned the marae, are you using the marae kitchen to pull the meals together?
Yes, we've the first two we did here in our own office, but the last meal we have worked and kindly got the use of the marae for a small koha, and we find it easier because it has the I don't know what you call it, the big ovens, big pots. So we're able, instead of everybody at home trying to do a little pot and come together, we're able to go to the marae and use their facilities. Very helpful.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I think it's a wonderful initiative for our community. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, just another thing, or Whitty's left now, but I talked to Councillor Christine Rankin as well. She's also on the Lakes District Health Board, and she was saying that there is funding available for COVID support for whānau, like so I can definitely find ways to put you in touch with that funding if you're not already accessing it. So yeah, she was going to send me some information.
Thank you.
So that was actually going to be my suggestion also, with the COVID and the cost associated with that have you funded that, or did you have any assistance with your COVID health and vaccination schemes that you had going in Mangakino?
Whitty will have to answer that one, but as far as I know, we received a nice donation from Kaingaroa COVID response team that allowed us to provide the snack packs, etc., for the backstage. So yeah, you're just wondering if we've received any COVID help.
Yeah, we through like DHB, Te Aroa whānau ora, and also the COVID response team over there. Not so much in regard, we've had, just in regarding all that was, masks, health packs, some kai packs and stuff to be able to continue, because we distributed them out. We're now a RATS distribution centre, so we deliver, we can provide, once they go through the process, all the testing, test kits for the whānau. And regarding our kai, not so much in regarding this Manaki kai. They were actually the first people to provide 50 meals for us, which set our idea to create these Manaki kai for our kaumātua. They kindly gave us 50 meals, and then that generated our interest to continue with that. Not so much the money. We've done some fundraising through those through that time, and also we've had a couple of in our bank balance and all that. Yeah, we've got a bit of money within our putia, but a lot of it's tagged already for different things throughout the community.
Thank you.
Okay, Te Pai, any other pātai? Any other questions?
Not necessarily a question, Kirsty, if you don't mind, just a comment that I think what you guys are doing is amazing, and there is an organisation called Meet the Need, which is all about getting meat from producers to places of need in the community, and to get milk out as well. So I'm sure that Mark or myself would be happy to help put you in touch with the right people there, or if we can help in any way, just please reach out to one of us.
Kia ora. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Meat is one of the more expensive items on the shopping list.
Yeah, so there's also been an offer from the marae for meat. So the marae is still a food bank for the community. They're still a registered food bank, so we can access meat, but we've already offered that. So whatever's needed.
Kia ora.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for your kōrero today.
Thank you, sorry for taking so much time.
Ngā mihi kia koutou.
Ka pai.
Ka pai.
Back to you, Rose.
Okay, so Kristen was going to try and find someone to present, but it doesn't look like she has from the lead club, so apologies there. But we've got Whakamaru School up next, and Leander looks like she's got some wonderful somebody to present to you guys.
Morena, guys. You've got mute button on, so you can take that off and then you can talk to us. That's it.
That's better.
Kia ora koutou. My name is Ardent. My name is Chika. We are the senior students at Whakamaru School. We are here to present information about our application for funding to help us get to the capital city of New Zealand, Wellington. Firstly, thank you for considering our application. We really appreciate the opportunity. Today, we want to explain the reason why this trip will be an important influence in our lives and why it benefits our community. In Wellington, we are going to visit places like the Beehive, Parliament, National Library, and Te Papa. We are also excited that this trip will allow us to see and read the Tiriti o Waitangi, the founding document of our country. Being in Wellington offers us a unique opportunity to experience in person and learn about the history of New Zealand. We will also learn about democracy and get to see how New Zealand is governed. We're really hoping to meet the Prime Minister or other Parliament ministers. We will also visit other places like the Weta Workshop and the Capital E Theatre. In these places, we get to see different career opportunities. Our Wellington trip offers first for many of our students, like being in a city, being away from families, visiting parliaments, and riding a train. Finally, we are striving to become an Enviro School. We are involved in many local environmental projects. The Zealandia trip provides us with the opportunity to experience firsthand how sustainable environments protect our native species and plants. All of the things we do in Wellington, we believe, will help us to understand the values of being a good citizen. Good citizens create good communities. So any funding you give us will be greatly appreciated. Thank you for your time. We are happy to answer any question you may ask.
Oh, that's great. That was an awesome presentation. Well done. Very informative. It sounds really exciting, especially going down to see Te Papa and the Beehive. Yeah, really exciting. So what other fundraising have you guys done or are going to do? Do you know?
We haven't decided that yet as a class, but we're looking to fundraise outside our local community because we run raffles and things like that at school. So we want to try and get the money out of our local community, perhaps running a table at the market in Taupo, but we're yet to discuss those ideas as a class.
That's great. Okay, any other questions?
So just when do you propose to go? When would you like to go to Wellington? What are the dates?
We're going in term 4, so we're going from the 31st of October to the 4th of November.
Okay. Well, you should be able to meet some politicians. I'm sure you'll find somewhere there. Have you made any contact to Louise Upston at all? She'll be able to tee something up for you.
Yeah, we intend to. Yes, we intend to.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're going in October because I'm in Wellington today and it's a very wet and windy day down here. And I love the idea about the kiddies, the children jumping on the train if you can possibly get that fitted in there too. It'd be an awesome experience.
Yes, so awesome.
Okay, yeah, go for your life. Go and have a look.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thanks so much for your presentation.
And we'll leave you now.
Okay, Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Kay Rose, are there any other?
No, so that's all our presentations. So I suppose we just need to go through the list, the 10 different applications. You will see that there's one from Thrive in Taupo. I've put that didn't meet criteria due to being based in Taupo and not benefiting the Mangakino-Pouakani Ward. Is my sound better, Kevin?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, great. So the first on the application was the Graeme Dingle Foundation, and they were requesting $5,000.
Rose, I can't recall, is salary and rent allowed to be applied for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know this organisation, they visit the local schools and like on a weekly basis, do make quite an impact with the kids. Yeah, there's definitely certificates every week and just like showing them life skills and how to deal with conflict. And I've sat in one of their sessions before and they just do games to try and help them to, work on different aspects of social competencies, I think. So it's definitely, the kids love it as well. So I think it's very worthwhile. So we've got 12,500 excluding GST, and we've got a lot of applications. So any suggestions?
I see just a question that it only appears to go to the Mangakino and Whakamaru schools, what Maratiri or
It's a lower decile.
Don't fit the criteria, or what's the story?
It's a lower decile schools.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, and I think they're based in Tokoroa as well. I think they're expanded to come to those two schools.
I think it's a really successful program that has run for a number of years, which is great for kids' confidence and just giving them that ability to go out into the wider world, especially for our rural kids that are, the communities are, quite close knit.
Can you put $1,000, or is that going to be too much?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, because we can come back to it and also just depending on, so if we just tag that. Okay, so the next one, Rose, is Lake Maraetai Community Association. And so that's a charity event about the lake, or the lake hop. And they were looking for funds for health and safety aspects. Yeah. My query here was that they make a lot of money and then they distribute it as community grants. And so I was thinking, if they make a lot of money, like $10,000 or something, was that correct from last time? And I'm just wondering whether they need to save a portion of that so that they become a sustainable event. That was my thinking there. It's a wonderful event. I want it to go ahead. It's definitely amazing.
It was lacking quite a lot of content. It sounded like you hadn't quite got all this info together.
I think it was quite a last minute application, because some of the key people in the background that would normally do a lot of that background work are no longer in the community. So I think it was they still want it to run, but yeah. Can there be one of those ones where you tag that funding and you've sort of a bit more of a proviso around future planning? Because I'm fairly sure they do keep back quite a bit of money to help support run the event as well.
Yeah, you definitely want to support it.
Yeah, we definitely want it to go ahead. So I wonder whether, again, maybe we look at $1,000. It's put Mangakino on the map for a lot of people that would never have come here, and they give back to the community. That's definitely Yeah, they definitely do. So yeah, maybe like what you said, if we sort of say maybe in their future planning they try to become a sustainable event, but we really appreciate what they do, yeah, and how much they give back. Yeah, so maybe we put down 1,000 for.
I can definitely put something in the letter to them to suggest that they hold on to some money for starting them.
Sorry, Rose. Destination Great Lake Camp, or all this promotional stuff that we put through Taupō District Council or the body that we align with, whatever the case may be, putting Taupo on the map or putting our district on the map is, and these guys are certainly doing that. They started small and it's just grown and probably will continue to grow. So yeah, whatever way we can to support them. Like you say, they do give a lot back to the community, and I think that's their key goal, is to be able to do that. If we can support them in other avenues, being able to get other different support from, I don't know what we are, the events crew that we have, stuff like that could be able to help out in regarding that. I'm not sure what we do for them in regarding on the day or on the weekend. Perhaps you know a little bit more about that, Kirsty. I don't.
Yeah, actually, I was just going to ask Kevin, perhaps, or Rose, like, as far as their support through our events team, like financial support that they get on an annual basis.
Just ask Sinead to see if they're actually funding it. If they were, they would put it in the application that they've got events funding, but they may have gone the other way around, so they might get a little bit from here and then ask the events team for.
Yeah, or else we'd be giving in kind, perhaps we're giving in kind, because I know the events team has been involved each year. So it might be more in kind and people support on the day. Yeah.
I totally agree with that, with them needing to become a sustainable event. I'm also wary that if we say to them, look, you guys need to become sustainable, so we're not going to give you any support, I think we definitely have to show some support for an event like this. It's not like become sustainable and you get zero from the rep group. We'd have to say that to the festival committee and all other groups. So I think we need to support in a good way too, because honestly, last year you couldn't get a parking spot from the lakefront to back to the town shops, and that was double parked just about every street in town. It was insanely amazing, amazing. So and remember, that was the big event in the Taupō district post lockdown. Like little Mangakino put on this amazing event before anybody else in the district could do one, and it was amazing. So we need to I fully support it. I don't need to have 3,000, but really support it.
Yep. And I recall popping into a couple of the locals, and they were cooking mussel fritters and things like that they were going to be able to sell and do some fundraising for other things. So it certainly needs support.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, Kylie.
Can I just suggest that we ask to have a look at what their founding document says? They may actually have a clause in their constitution or trust deed that they must distribute all funds annually. Which is maybe why we find them coming and asking us for help, because often charities are set up in that regard. And I just wanted to put some perspective to it. Our school runs a fundraiser, which is a mountain bike event, and the health and safety component of that costs us $3,500 to run that event. And that's for children riding out at Craters of the Moon, but without all of the appropriate paperwork and requirements met, we're unable to run that event legally. So that's sort of a minimum cost without making anything on top of it. And I just wonder whether they are in a predicament where they actually have to distribute all funds annually.
Well, it does appear that they've got $5,000 from somewhere to put into it. So, yeah, they may have a clause there, but they've got $5,000. And you've got to keep seeding these things. It is successful. It does go well. We keep seeding it. I'm going for $1,000.
Yep. Okay. So we'll put that there for now. We can revisit, and yeah, if we've got extra, we can give extra support potentially. Okay, next one, Rose. Sorry, I've just got to plug in my computer.
Right, so it's the Lakeland Powerboat Club. Costs for their regatta 23rd to the 24th of April, so quite soon at the end of this month. They're requesting 3,500.
Okay, thoughts on that?
Well, we have done this before, if I recall, to contribute towards the safety of this event. And I think we've gone through it. I think there's some pretty wealthy people that do have these boats that do race around the lake. But they do need assistance at all times. And again, it's a seeding program. So I'm keen for some money to go there. They've asked for 3,500. Well, as you can see, we've had certain applications way exceeding the $12,000 odd that we've got. But I'm going to suggest $1,000. Probably won't provide a great deal of safety, but it does start a seeding program. They do need it very shortly, of course. So where they'll get the other 2,500 from, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to read what their contribution was.
Can I just say something? Like the powerboats obviously have been going to Mangakino for what, 50, 60 years? Like it's a well-established thing. And there was a process a few years back around health and safety and changing, needing those requirements, which was quite a hard task for them to do. And there was huge support from the events team in that space. The thing that always disappoints me a little bit, and I'm totally pro having these events, is that they still tend to not engage at all in the community in any way around advertising well. It becomes a very wakeboarding can be a little bit like a bubble about just their own group of people, like where the lake hop is about them running it for a wider thing. And I just wish that there would be sort of a bit more in that conversation, and we have asked in the past around just advertising it better. It's usually like someone says something and I'll do a search on Google and go, oh shit, there's something on next weekend, I better go and stick it on the Facebook. Like it should be more planned than that, but we should still have these events. But yeah, I just think they could work together. They could work better with the community and build that capacity better.
Okay, yeah. Are there any other comments? So, okay, so maybe we put $1,000 towards that one as well.
Maybe 500.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that?
The only thing is they are wealthy people, I think, that run these boats, but they do have to find this money between now and the 24th, is it? Or there is a date there, which is only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, 23rd of April.
23rd.
Maybe put 500 and put it up to 1,000 if we've got a little
quite
cash
right.
left over.
Quite right.
Okay. All right, we'll do that. The next one is the Mangakino Central Charitable Trust, and that's for the resale shop.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. We've got other secondhand shops in town as well. We've got one that's run by the church. That's open every Saturday, I'm pretty sure. And we've got another one that's just opened, that's next to the food bank. Yeah, so this would be the third shop. Plus we've got up at the transfer station, there's a place there for secondhand goods that are given people can get for a koha, and then that funding is distributed to community events, community organisations as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was sorry. I was a bit unsure about that blend between it being the art and soul, which we've been going for a while, in the post shop, and then the second hand, the koha shop. So it was kind of like, because it is a koha, isn't it? I don't think they actually physically charge. It's like exactly in the same sort of model like the reuse shed. But I wondered how much of this money that we're giving for that is going to be utilised to support the post shop and art and soul more predominantly, because that's the shop that's got them. Yeah, I don't know. It's a huge amount of money. I mean, yeah.
And I also wondered, I know when Christine Stevens was in there, that she sort of operated a secondhand shop from the other premise. So whether that's just doable from the current operation through Art and Soul as well. But the rent might be a different matter. The rent.
So what does it cost to rent a shop in Mangakino? Anybody rent a shop in Mangakino? So
Yvonne might know.
What's rents like in Mangakino?
We pay about $4.50 a month for our shop.
Okay. So if we were to say make $1,000, it's for their rent. It's 2 months' rent. But I do like to see shops full with something. Seeing empty shops is really depressing sort of situation. Wouldn't it be good perhaps instead of getting another second-hand shop, can we get something that's selling new products, even was there a $2 shop franchise that would go to Mangakino and provide some new stuff? Is Mangakino going to survive on hand-me-downs? You know, where's the ambition that we've got going here?
We have had a $2 type shop before. Yeah, must not have been sustainable. Yeah, so if it was like $4.50 a month, that's like about 5,000. Whoops, 5,500 roughly for a year's rent.
Yep.
If that's the case also too, because they definitely had the first couple of months rent free, which I think it's Sharma now that owns that space. Yeah. I think. Yeah. So not sure. Yeah, what that looks like. It's like I was trying to have a look. Did it actually say in the application what the rent actually was?
Because that's for our whole shop. So if we're only talking a portion, you could reduce that amount as well.
I've lost it. Where's it got to?
Kirsty,
you just go $1,000.
Right. Sorry, Yvonne?
I just wonder, should we come back to that? Because I think we've all got a few question marks. My ones was probably, you know, if we're going to support that second-hand shop, are the other couple going to come knocking on our door as well? Are we supporting a commercial venture here? And yeah, I just sort of wonder if that's going to compromise us.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Okay, we'll park this one and come back to it.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is the Mangakino District Services and Citizens Club, and they are looking for a new blue steel char grill bench top for their facilities and kitchen. So, yeah, thoughts?
So that's for the business of, that's for specifically for Dan to run his restaurant business, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the question I was wondering, what I would have been asking if they had come was, is it rented out to community groups too, or is it just solely sort of used for that business?
He leases it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So it does appear that it's a standalone business, though, as we're talking about. So you know, while it's under the umbrella of the, where are we, the old RSA, I think that's long gone. I think as far as that sort of thing is concerned.
I'm kind of a no, because it's a restaurant as a business. Like if it was for the club, like we've helped sort of support in the past, but this is a little bit different. It's kind of trying to get it, because I say it's the club building, but it's actually, you know, I mean, that kitchen probably needs a complete overhaul, just about, really.
One thing that they'll be happy about is we are putting the footpath in. That's in our annual plan, is to do a footpath that goes past the Kaunihera and towards, you know, up there, because there are lots of people that use the that go there to the District Services and Citizens Club. So that's one thing will support that group.
Well, it says here there's 231 members and 53 sports club members. I mean, yeah, it's still probably doing something for the community.
I think like they've stated before, the Lake Hop alone last year or the year before, they put more money over the bar and through food just supporting that one event than they had done ever. It was like $10,000 went across the bar, which is super cool, and it's amazing that that can happen. But there's definitely membership there that frequented a lot now that are in those other spaces, those semi-permanent holiday makers spaces. So there's a whole lot of sort of extra work going into that space in kind by their membership as well. So they're definitely lifting their game. So I think more profitable than what they were 5 years ago by far.
In saying that, they've had to spend quite a lot of money to try to upgrade their facilities as it is. Yeah. Although they're doing well, they're still well behind the 8 ball and getting their facility up to scratch.
Well, why don't we go the $500 and come back to it?
Okay, nods of heads. Yep. Okay, we'll do that. Okay, so Mangakino-Pouakani. So this is Manaki Kai for Kaumātua, COVID welfare support and whānau care packs. Okay.
I think that the food bit is amazing. Like, I fully support the meals to the kaumātua and that. I think a lot of that COVID support stuff, there will still be government funding to support that as well. Looking into the future, they're not going to leave us high and dry, I don't think. Yeah, because it's a mix, isn't it? Once again, it's that COVID, the welfare packs, but I think the Kai bit of it is super. We need to support that well.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's an amazing initiative. Like, as far as connecting, you know, keeping our kaumātua feeling connected to the community. And I really like the idea of the little gardens at the house, and then people coming to help weed them, and, you know, that whole connection as well. I thought that was a really, really awesome initiative. So I'm keen to support that. And like I said earlier, I did talk to Christine Rankin, who's on our Lakes District Health Board, and she said that there was funding for COVID support. So and I'll get some information about that to see whether we are accessing everything that we're eligible, you know, that our area is eligible for, and pass that information on in case there's extra funding there that can be accessed for COVID support. So what do we think? Oh gosh.
Yeah, just in regarding that, sorry, Kirsty, just in regarding that, yeah, there's funding there, but it's real challenging to get it and access it. And the food support that whānau get, that is through MSD, and that's been quite a challenge for our people. We're finally managing, because there's been a change in that system. But yeah, I agree with you, and, you know, we do the best that we can with what we've got. And we do have a fair understanding of what's out there and what we've been trying to get. So pop down and have a yarn to Leanne and regarding all that, Kirsty, would be quite good.
Just running the numbers, can we afford to do a couple of thousand?
Well, I think we can. I actually think that the initiative is great because it does several things here. One, it provides some kai and a vegetable garden. And one of the big things that I think we underestimate is the social contact that actually gives people. If you can imagine, even just this once a month, I think it says here, the kai, it's once a month, there's some social contact. You put them a vegetable garden there and you people are saying that you're going to call in and give them a hand, keep an eye on the job, you know, right? More social contact. Great. It's just so important. So you're getting two birds with one stone here, I reckon.
And is the support from the marae, like I think Diane said it was like a real nominal fee to be able to use the kitchens and that'll be ongoing there because it's a commercial kitchen, which is amazing. Whatu, I don't know, is that how that's going to continue to work?
Is memory still on there? Yeah, it is. They've given us the opportunity to utilise some marae and also access the garden if there's anything in there that we could utilise. And also, as Mary said early on, they're holding a little bit of kai as a hangover from COVID. So they've given offers. She just offered again today. So, yeah.
So it's a real community collaboration there. Oh, Kylie?
Yeah, I think
Kylie,
just to that point, Kirsty, is that the community's seen a need and have got going and got themselves mobilised and made this happen without funding, and as an afterthought are now seeking funding. And I just really admire people getting up and getting going, seeing a need and making it happen rather than working out how it's going to happen and then nothing ever happening. These guys have actually proven that they're doing the mahi, they're out there, they're into it, and it's happening, and taking whatever has been given to them so far, like we had the example of the bag of kumara. So instead of saying, well, that's not good enough and we need this and we need that and we need the other, it's actually, we've got kumara. What are we going to do with the kumara? That's what we've got at the moment. So how are we going to use that? And I just think that those are really admirable attributes of a community organisation and the fact that they have got going without anyone else. And I think it really deserves some good support.
Yeah. So I wondered whether, can you give us an update of what we've spent so far? Like how much we've used?
So you've used 3,000 so far.
I'm going to suggest we put a couple of $1,000 there and come back to it.
Yeah, I was going to say 3. Yeah.
Okay.
3?
Yeah, I think 3, and we can come back and see.
Yeah, we put 500 to the RSA, so I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 6, 6.5, is it?
Got 1,000 for the Graeme Dingle, 1,000 for the Lake Maraetai, Lake Cock, 500 for the power boats. We're coming back to Mangakino Central Charitable Trust, 500 to Mangakino District Citizens, and then 3,000. So that is 6,000.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the next one is the Mangakino Rugby League Club, and it's first aid and strapping for the season, bails for senior men's teams, and supply each child with a mouth guard. So this is probably our most popular sport in our community.
Just a point of clarification, there's a rural sporting fund. Is that only for transport, or can this be for this type of thing, sports in a rural community?
So the rural travel fund is just for travel. So yeah, it wouldn't fund things like this, but there is the community sports grants open at the moment. And this would fit into that funding.
Rose, if we sent them a letter back saying that, would they have enough time to put an application in? When does it close? Oh, can't hear you, Rose. Sorry, you're on mute. Rose, sorry, you're on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So it closes at the end of this month, the 29th of April.
So by the time you send a letter to them, would they have got it?
Yeah, if I'm mainly send
In time,
emails,
that's all I'm
so yeah,
thinking.
she'll get an email in time.
And I think in this case, we could actually pick the phone up and make a phone call and just let them know. There's a reason that this fund is this fund, and it's for things that can't be funded elsewhere. And there's clearly that sporting fund for the district. And I just think that that would be an appropriate place for this application. I think it's a great cause to be backed up, but I just think that sporting fund is there for that reason.
The challenging thing I find about that is whether if they get approved of anything, and if there's so many more different clubs out there, and then they're left in the lurch, because if it closes at the end of the month, I see the season starts at the beginning of May, and depending on how long it takes to deliberate that sporting fund, I don't know. And they have been a real, you know, Mangakino has really changed, and to have a sporting club being able to support our tamariki has been pretty good. We're struggling with a lot of things within our community for our rangatahi, and so you know, it's just, to me, we're putting them on to somebody else when we could possibly support that. I'm all for supporting them in whatever way we can, you know, majority.
What if we did the
Yeah,
1,000 for them, and then suggested that they apply for the rest of that other grant, and then that might tweak that thinking around what's available in that other sports grant? I don't know if Kristen does apply for it as well. I'm not sure.
I'm definitely for the children's mouthguards. Definitely think that's.
I think the strapping will be for them as well. I'd hesitate that they'd need strapping as well.
And of course, you can't play a league unless you've got some balls. So the job's got to be.
My granddaughter plays, Mark.
Not quite the sort of system I was talking about. I see you're looking for rugby balls.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So what they're applying for is what they actually need.
Okay, so shall we put, what's everyone's ideas? Should we put $1,000 towards that?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So that's going to get them started, and they could actually still have an application at the end of the month for another $500 to finish the season off.
Yeah, and whether they already have got another application in there, I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is Maratiri Community Hall Trust, and its replacement of insufficient, faulty heat or smoke detection system in the Maratiri Community Hall roof. So, so this hall is used by the community and it's used by the school as well. So it's pretty important. And this is one of the community halls that council doesn't necessarily take or doesn't have ownership of, but we support it because it's an important community hall in the district, and if they were not taking care of it, then it would probably come under our care. So in this instance, the community does us a huge service in maintaining it.
Can
so
I just
like to
suggest, yeah, it's a health and safety thing. Like, it's not a nice to have, it's actually an essential. It's not, you know, let's have something that's really pretty. It's actually something that they essentially need to be able to continue with the hall there. We know about rural places and spaces and connectivity and all of the other impacts that it has, and if they haven't got this basic health and safety, they won't be able to continue with that hall operating, and I think it deserves our support.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree as well.
Okay, so how
Can we
much
go
we got left?
1,500?
1,500? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. 1,500. We can relook at it. Okay, so then, okay, so the next one was Thrive, Whakapuawai, but that doesn't meet criteria. And so then the last one was at Whakamaru School for their Wellington trip.
So Rose, how much money have we got left now?
I'll just do the minusing. So it's
8.5
and a
instead, I
half
think.
minus 8.5, 4,000. Quick math.
Okay, what are people's thoughts?
Fatou, can I just ask a question with your organisation and with the meals for the older people?
Yep.
How many people, I mean, if you get some more funding, you're going to perhaps be able to reach out further into your community. How many people do you think if you had all the funding and there were no barriers for you, how many people do you think you'd be able to reach with the concept that you've got going there?
And regarding the kai, we've got 73 at present, and we haven't fully opened that up as yet. Every week, a couple more names are added. The doctors add a couple of names to us. So we're trying to maintain workable for us to make sure we can maintain it to a standard. I think 100 really would be it. It'd be pretty much cover the majority of our older people.
Okay, thank you. Fatou, just after hearing that, I wonder if we split the balance that we've got left with Whakamaru School and with Fatou's organisation, topping up what we've looked at giving to them. Just if we've got GPs referring to this group, there's got to be something good going on there. Like, that's just, GPs don't do that sort of thing easily, and 100 older people being looked after and cared for in that regard is just amazing, and keeping them in their homes instead of in a home somewhere else isolated.
Yep, I do agree that we can relook at the others, and that's a group that I would want to increase as well if we could. So Whakamaru School then, so what if we made that 3,000, and then what's the balance? Is it 4? Have we got 4 altogether? Yeah.
4 altogether, the balance. So if you gave 3.
Yeah, if we gave 3 to Whakamaru School and then an extra 1,000 to Mangakino-Pouakani. But there was also, we were going to come back to the Central Charitable Trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think that we should give a little bit to the Central Charitable Trust. I'm not big on giving a huge amount. It's a new shop and it's also run as it connected with a business again. So just a bit, you know, how much conversation was there had community-wise with all the other second-handy shop, you know, I mean, competition is good if it's a business, but second-hand shops are kind of just a little ticking over community. I mean, the church one is a goodwill one and they give all the money back. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would be more inclined to give money to keep the post shop running, because, you know, as a community service, as opposed to, yeah.
I think
I'm just wondering about going right back to the Lakeland Powerboat Club. They are wealthy people. Do they need $500?
I think we should support local events in some way, but I would like to see them work together better with the community. Like, I think,
and I think they could go elsewhere, and you do want to keep them local. I think that's what we said last time.
and they have asked online as well, so they are looking to try and get support for this event, financial support for this event to run it.
Yeah, well, so is this charitable trust. It's local, and it's they just don't breeze in, take what they want and go. They're there for the hard yards.
Yeah.
So should we go? Okay, so what we should give something. So what should we give? Do we think?
Well, I'm going to suggest that we take away the $500 from Lakeland Powerboat, add it to the $500 and go for $1,000 the Central Charitable Trust.
I'd still want to give something to the Lakeland Powerboat Club. I think we keep that 500 there.
I'll go $500 then for the Charitable Trust.
Yeah.
What if we did 3 and 7? Like, what's our running total again? Sorry.
At the moment, we are at 11,500. So there's like 1,000 left to distribute. I just heard from Sinead that the Lakeland Powerboat Club have not requested any event funding, so they're not getting any event support from TDC. But the Lake Hot has approached them, but nothing's been confirmed. There's a few tick boxes that they need to do. So yeah.
So definitely, if we give this funding for the Powerboat, because it's only next, it's this month.
Yeah.
Can we give them information about what they do to, who they speak to in events team to just from council, because there could be new people running this event this year and are not aware of what support council can give to events.
Yeah.
Could we also, in relation to events like this, I think it's important that they come to town because they bring money to town and that makes a difference, but also to ask them to reach out to, we've got 4 schools in the community that could be doing a sausage sizzle or a coffee cart or a who knows what on the day that would actually enable those schools to raise some funds and to get money not from their local community, if that makes an avenue of how to raise funds without drawing the funding from the community again and again and again. But if these schools aren't aware that these events are coming up until the weekend before, then how have they got a hope of being able to get sausages and bread and tomato sauce and all of those things in? So perhaps we say, look, we're happy to give you $500 or $1,000, but part of our expectation is in return is that you would reach out to community organisations, give them ample time to be able to get together and make things work, to be able to use this as a fundraising experience themselves. So whether it's at the actual location of the event or further up the road or at the entry into Mangakino or whatever that might look like, it just gives them another way to access funding, and it's actually about working together in a collaborative way to make things happen for the community.
I totally agree with that, and that's putting back on my point before of they definitely asked online, but they've asked us for money to help support, to sponsor bits of the event. And if they asked broader, like how could our events support, like you say, schools and other community groups to also do, the whole event becomes bigger and better and more desirable. So so I totally agree, but I think there needs to be something going back to them going, you can't make people, but it'd be really great if you utilize these options and give them links and contacts for future events. So yeah.
Okay,
well, why don't we stick with the $500 and what does that leave for the charitable trust? Just
is there 1,000 left?
Pardon? There's how much left?
There's 1,000 left, but were we going to give Orangatanga extra? I've got them at 3 at the moment. Is that right?
Could we give 5 to the charitable trust and 5 to the meals for the elderly? For
yeah.
So for the orangatanga, can we stay, Mangakino orangatanga, can we stay at for meals and for the gardens? Because I think that's the two things that we're all pretty, we tag it to those things. Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
And I will try and get that information about COVID funding that I was told today, and I'll pass that information on. Yeah.
So that's about 3,500 available for orangatanga.
Yep, Mangakino orangatanga, yep.
Correct.
Okay, so that's the full funds utilised. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. That was a bit different trying to do that on Zoom, so I appreciate everyone's input. So can we have a mover and a seconder?
Can I move?
Sorry. Yes, thank you, Amon.
I'll second it, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay, so, right, sorry, I'm trying to move on my screen to the next one.
And Kirsty, sorry, I'm an apology. I've got to scoot back into my other meeting.
Okay, thank you so much for...
Thank you, Yvonne.
See ya.
See you later.
Sorry, I'm on diligent and I'm tapping to try and get the next one. Oh,
that's right, Kirsty, but just through the chat.
Okay.
So if I can just speak to staff, and if they can just put me a message on the chat line there if they've got any other appointments that they've got to attend to, and we'll work out how we do that, because we're running over time. But that's our problem, administration. We'll work it out. But if any staff have got any other appointments, just let us know. Thanks.
Okay, so we're on 4.3. So current action points update. So is that going to be Greg?
That's Greg coming in. Yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I guess the first one, Te Awhana Hall, probably. Libby, have you got an update on that? I don't have anything.
Yeah, I haven't got any through the chair. Kia ora koutou. No further updates on that one at this stage for a number of reasons. Just getting people in the room has been extremely difficult over the last few weeks. So apologies for that. It's not that it hasn't been forgotten, it's just going on. But also I might just, through the chair, Councillor Truman, just offer, I know that Memory's in the meeting, so if she wanted to offer any updates, please feel free.
Yeah, Memory, have you got any updates in regards to whai?
Nothing in concrete apart from waiting for a report from the builder. And that's about it. So the builders are at the marae at the moment, with our wahanga restructuring, and so whatever's money's left over from that's going to go towards the Te Awhana as well. But we're still waiting for that report to come back from your guys' builders, I think.
Okay, ka whai. Oh, that's good. That's good. There's things happening in that space. Okay, so the next one is Mangakino Lakefront and toilet.
Yep. So yeah, so that's the whole development plan, and we completed the scoping exercise for that. So you'll remember from the last meeting that we decided we'd take a bit of a step backwards because we were having difficulty advancing components of that. So we've met with Exist on site. That happened on the 29th of March. Gave them the brief to start preparing that plan that we can use then for a consultation document, both with yourselves but also some members of the community, because we had the APR report, we had the survey that was done, but I guess that had never gone back to anybody for any sort of sign off about what direction we were going. So so that's ongoing. We hope we'll have that something, at least a draft anyway, for the next meeting from Exist.
Okay, so sorry, Greg, is this correct? So if the plan going forward is we'd get a draft concept plan and then we would discuss it at this hui, just be presented at this hui, and then from there we would go out to the community and discuss as a concept?
If that was what, yeah, if you wanted to go back wider to the community, then that's another stage. But I think it certainly then gives us something, people like Gary with his operation down there, that we can actually say this is what we're proposing, and this is how it affects you. One of the things we've asked Exist to look at, for example, is some concession sites. So that's more in line with what we normally do on reserves. We have concession areas that you can actually lease, and those are time bound, and there's conditions around them.
So that's mobile operators. So
correct.
They come in and out each day.
Yes, that's correct. So we've asked that those sort of things actually be considered in the draft report, where those might be the most appropriate to go. Next one is Lakefront Management Agreement, and I just wonder if this one could be removed, because it kind of ended with a conversation with Mercury. They didn't favour an interim agreement. They didn't sort of see that would be any different to the draft one that we have in place at the moment.
Okay. So when we did that concept plan, we would just potentially go to them and say, this is our concept, and just get them to give their feedback on that too?
Correct. So what the draft agreement says with Linz and with Mercury currently is that if we wish to put any new assets on any of the land owned by them or administered by them, that we need to actually get their approval to do that. So the existing assets that we've got at the moment, they're fine under that agreement. If we were, for example, to build a new boat ramp on the other side of north of Matakuri Island or upstream of Matakuri Island, then that is a new asset on Mercury land and would need their approval to do that. That would all be part of getting the consent anyway for that. Mangakino Sports Hub, the new carpet's been laid and awaiting quotes to fix holes in the ceiling, and I believe that originally that was going to be done in-house. Now they're saying that we haven't got the capacity to do that, so we're just awaiting some quotes to get that done. But we're in contact with Kristen, obviously from Hawke's, and no problems that we've been made aware of. Just as a little aside, the travelling irrigator went out there to go through this summer, and that's been a bit of a cooperative with Hawke's members, Hawke's players, and Louis from our team in terms of managing that. It's been going really well. So the removal of the metal dump site, I still haven't had a meeting with Waka Kotahi, so I just need to keep chasing them really. The footpath on the Mangakino, on the Whakamaru side of the dam, or it's actually on the South Waikato side of the dam, and that's another one that I suggest we probably remove, because that conversation's come to a bit of an end for us. It's a different district and so forth. Yep. And just update on Pouakani Tōtara. So we've got an environmental report that was prepared by a dock biologist off duty, so they volunteered their time to do that. As their contribution, I guess, to the tree and the importance nationally that has. So we have that report, and that's got some suggestions going forward around pest control, vegetation management, and also some thoughts about where structures would go around the tree. So that's all been shared with Wairarapa Moana. Just received word yesterday from Tui that Wairarapa Moana have confirmed through their own budgeting system that they're going to proceed with track work and boardwalks later this year. So they'll just be doing that as part of their business funding. Yeah, so that's really it. We haven't done any more out the front. There's really no more to do at this stage. Next bit will be the work sort of back further in the site, really. So that's the end of the updates.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have someone to move that? I'll move it. A seconder.
I'll second it, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Chair, just through you, just had a couple of messages back, and if we can move to item 4.6, that'd be greatly appreciated. Bryson is only available for technical questions, which I prefer he answered when they come from Mark or others there, and then we can move into finishing that item off and then move back through. But it seems like Bryson's pretty time strapped, unfortunately.
Sure. Cool. Okay, so item 4.6, so it's the draft speed management plan consultation.
Yeah, and through the chair, Bryson will answer any technical questions, but what we will do is between Rose and Libby, they'll take any information through and they will put a submission on your behalf through as per the recommendation there at some stage. Cool.
Yeah, so I guess this paper's, this one's really about asking the community group whether they're wanting to put a submission in for their community, in this case Mangakino. So obviously, like Kevin said, if you've got any technical questions about the speed management document or consultation, ask away. Otherwise, I'll hand over to Rose and Libby to go through that process and get it signed off through.
Kia ora anō, and I'll probably touch on a couple of things here that are probably appropriate for the annual plan submission paper that I'll talk to at some point when we get to it. But just really quickly, I mean, essentially you will be all aware of the speed management consultation. We've been trying to do things a little bit differently and be out there in the community as much as possible. This is something that either really gets people worked up or they're kind of happy to see the changes coming in. So what we're just hoping to offer is we can support the rep group with putting together a submission on the speed management plan, what's been proposed. It closes in just over a month, so that we've got a little bit of time. But essentially, it's probably for the rep group to come up with what their position is on there if they would like to make a submission, and we can essentially hold the pen and support that admin side of things to be able to get that submission through. So it's really just through the chair, I guess, the process with which you'd like, if you would like to make a submission, how you would go about actually getting everyone's views together, whether that's a separate workshop or if you quickly want to put something in now, it's really up to you how you'd like to do that. We're here to support.
Okay, we sort of discussed this previously, but I know definitely support that. Our rural schools. How does, and Mark, I'll go to you, because I know that there's definitely been some.
Well, we've spent a lot of time, we're putting a submission in. We do support the around the schools and the urban changes. We see the traffic is building up. We do not support the Poipi Road debacle. It just puts us further from town. We're far enough from town now. District Council states that there's actually no cost to it. Well, I can tell you now there is, and the cost is borne by rural residents and ratepayers. And it's just, I mean, Mangakino is now 10 or 11 minutes further from Taupo, or will be 10 or 11 minutes further from Taupo, which, you know, do you want Mangakino? Should Mangakino drop off the perch and go somewhere else? It's far enough from Taupo now. So all this is doing is just making us further from town. And we have enough trouble attracting staff here and onto the farms. We're 25 minutes to town. Once you get to 33, 34, they go, nah, rather be from Taupo, Tiamuta, or whatever the case may be. To get a tradesman to come out from Taupo to Turahonga, it's just a battle. You know, it's too far, and they're going to be slower now. Well, I mean, Yeah, we struggle to get a policeman. In fact, we don't get a policeman or an ambulance out here at any haste at all. We need an ambulance just down the road a couple of nights ago. Well, it was a battle to get one here, and I don't know where it came from, whether it came from Taupo, Tokoroa or Mangakino. They argue amongst themselves which one they're going to send anyway, same as the police. So we're just further from town, so we're against the debacle on Poipi Road. And I think Mangakino-Pouakani Representative Group should be against it also. You've just made us all further from town.
Okay, have we got views from our other group members? Do you like name call you? Haru, do you want to say?
I'm with Mark. I feel like I'm getting to Taupō now. I thought it was a suburb. Yeah, true. To be fair, I haven't really gone through that speed management plan. So some of the things Mark saying to me is going, oh, maybe I better be reading this thing. Yeah, but speed kills and all that drama, but you know, at the end of the day, like Mark says, you know, the difficulty in getting people here, and they got to pay for tradesmen to come out, and if it takes longer, well, there's more costs onto the job, so it increases the whole, expands everything, really, doesn't it? But I think we should put to me, maybe a brief workshop or something like that to go through it properly so that we have a full understanding of it and the reasoning behind it. I will read it, and I apologise for not.
I tend to think that Mark's got some pretty valid points that, and always rural considerations are quite different from the documents that have been done from town. No disrespect to people working on those spaces, because they're only going to work on where we're leading them. But I think there are some valid conversations around that speed space and how it negatively does affect rural. I think if it's really high accident prone areas, absolutely that needs to be in consideration, but not to the detriment of running our businesses and our families. Like we try to encourage our kids to go sports and all of that, you know. For most people, it's a 60k round trip. If you can't pinch the VAT for milk from Mark's VAT, it's a 60k round trip for milk. So for a $5 thing, so that's got to be taken into consideration. And if it takes 15 minutes longer, it's just a nightmare. So yeah, maybe a little workshop might be quite good. I don't know.
I've included some of my key points in the chat there. The one thing that I haven't included is mental health. When you're isolating people, and rural people are getting more and more isolated, the ongoing effects of that. Sadly, the rural suicide rate is absolutely horrific, and the impact that this could have on that, people choosing not to leave home because it's just too hard when they feel like things are too hard anyway, just gets emphasised. 20% added on to each trip to town is just a huge amount. That's going to be 20% travel time added on for anybody coming out to the farm. And to be fair, that 20% extra travel time is the difference between life and death for some of our stock when we need a vet there. So animal welfare, animals being sent off farm or transported away, adding on 20% of their travel time, what that looks like is fairly scary too.
Well, I'm not, I find it frustrating also that the council has identified there are problems on our rural roads. Well, get to and fix them. Where is your ambition? Does this really mean that as more lifestyle blocks get put along Poipi Road, in the next 4, 5, 10 years, it's going to happen? Does that mean in 22 years we drop the speed limit another 10 kilometres? Good Lord, by the time 2050 comes around, we'll be going to town with wheelbarrows. Get out there, get some ambition, fix our roads, do the job properly.
Thank you, Mark.
Another point, Bryson, it was, Bryson, did we have any speed limit changes on Tiruhanga Road itself? Because this was discussed.
Yes, yeah, only by the school though. So outside
Yeah.
the school, we're proposing to drop the speed limit down to 80 permanently, and then during school times have it down to 30 with electronics, using electronic signs. So there is a speed limit change, but just for that school community hall section.
And so yeah, that's one of our roads we've probably had the most accidents on.
It's a shocker.
So yeah, so it's quite because I can understand if we're putting these where the problems are, you know, where the danger is, but that would be kind of, some of those areas would be quite high on our.
The correspondence that came with the speed management plan quite clearly states that Turangi Road, with 9 deaths in the last 10 years, is one of the dangerous stretch of road that Taupō District Council has. In fact, as best as I see here, it's the worst. It doesn't help when 4 get killed at one time, but my point is, it is a very dangerous road. I don't know why, although it's really good that you got the bottom end a lot better, with a lot better width and things like that. But outside the school, marvellous, first class, great. Poepi Road, it's just no. It's just no.
So the speed limits are a risk-based approach essentially. So we've taken a risk-based approach when developing these, and Poepi Road having a higher volume has a higher risk as well. So that has been taken into account. The section to the western end of Poepi Road, where it's a bit more windy, we actually did some travel time measurements on this using Google data, and the average speed through that section is 80 kilometres anyway, just because of all the curves and alignment of the road. So to bring that piece down to 80 is actually going to have no extra travel time effect, because that's the speed that people can travel at anyway. You know, they have to slow down for all the corners and bits and pieces. I get your point, and welcome feedback on the rest of the section. I do know that we did do travel time data on most of the rest, and we tried to align our thinking or our proposed speed limits to that. So the section between Pongmata Road and Turangi Road, or the current 80 km/h section, was the average travel time was about 83, 84. So there are a lot of other things that affect travel time on these rural roads, tractors, other drivers, intersections, all these things add to your travel time. So
quite clearly that people aren't travelling at 100 kilometres an hour. So if they're not doing it, the speed is not causing the issue.
Yeah, well, we're just trying to match the road speed limit to the safe and appropriate speed limit, and that's your goal.
Yeah, no.
I think a workshop would be great, because then we can go through this a bit more detail. But I don't seem to have. I really need to get to my next meeting.
Okay. Yep. All right. So we'll organise.
Just through the chair, apologies, and I'm just for hoping to make life easier, and obviously happy to support a workshop. But we're hearing some quite strong themes coming through, and we have a little bit of a template where we could fill some of those in. But one of the things I'd probably just encourage from an engagement perspective is there may be an opportunity to do personal submissions, but whether you're looking at the group's submission representing the views of the community, and that there may be some differences there. So happy to support a workshop, but we could also perhaps fill in the template we've got and circulate that to the group if that would expedite how long that might take. But happy to do whatever was best.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, if we did that, Libby, and we can say, you know, we have got some strong views from the rural sector that we just want to ensure are voiced, and we might have different views from our urban people too. So that would give a chance for others to give, you know, to email through their views. Or Fitu, would you like to have a workshop on this to get more information?
I'm just reading through some of it. do we need another meeting? Well, you know, at the end of the day, to get everyone's points of view, maybe we should have a workshop.
Okay, yep. All right, we'll organise another workshop. Yep. Sorry, Kylie. I can see you there.
Yeah, look, I just in response to Mark's point around aspirations, and absolutely, Mark, it was just an interesting thing that this time around we had some funding and things that we wanted to do in quite a few rural roads, Waihapi Road, and part of that funding comes from land transport, and everything for a rural road was declined. It's only been state highways that have received any funding this round out of land transport. So that is part of our problem, is that central government just won't support rural roads at all at this stage.
So through the chair, just to back that up, so the key ones that we lost in this area is we lost some funding on Portland Road, but also on Tauranga Road as well. So yeah.
Okay, Libby, are you able to organise a Zoom workshop that we can?
Yes, I'll work with the team that supports yourselves, and we'll get them to factor something in. And then Rose has she's very helpful. She's offered to hold the pen on that submission, but I don't think it will be difficult to fill in some of those gaps for the template, just to make life a little bit easier. But do suggest that if there are some varying views, it might be around the differentiation in those submissions.
Okay, and so we can say through this meeting that we will support whatever's come up with at that workshop to go through as our submission. Is that would be all right?
Yep, that should be fine.
Mm.
Can we also just, I know it's not directly about speed limit, but can we put something in there in regards to the lack of funding from Waka Kotahi that we actually, you know, we're incredibly disappointed as a community representation group that there was no funding, that speeds are being reduced as a safety measure instead of improving roads.
Yeah, so through the chair, yeah, it's you can do that, absolutely. You can do that through the annual plan process as well, so yeah.
Well, could I make a motion that we do both? Because we need to offer some form of pushback to central government. We all pay regos, we all pay road user taxes, we all pay petrol taxes, and that money's meant to come back to servicing our roads, and it's not.
Okay. All right, thank you, Libby. So can I have a mover and a seconder for this item?
I'm happy to move.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All right, so going back to, does anyone else need to go?
So not that I'm aware of, thank you.
Okay. So going back to 4.4, so that's the electric vehicle charging facility at Whakamaru.
Good morning all, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just a quick recap what I've got for you this morning. We were approached by the Lines Company, who were awarded some funding from the government to install electric vehicle chargers throughout their network. One of the sites that they came up with, along with some help from council officers, was outside Rasmus Cafe in Whakamaru. We need your approval to issue a license to occupy for that site, as it is within the road reserve. If you've got any questions, we'll hopefully talk through them now.
One question I had was, have we got any happening in Mangakino?
Not that I'm aware of.
So if there were two, could one go at Whakamaru and one go at Mangakino?
There's only one site proposed, and it's only
so
one charger.
Okay.
Yeah, with two cords.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I do know they have applied for additional funding for other sites, and Mangakino may be on that list, but I'd have to check.
So through the chair, I think the key thing is it takes a lot of money to get one set up, and it's not much more to have two in the one place. It's about the plant. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it logically makes sense to have one either at Mangakino or Whakamaru, and Whakamaru is not a bad spot there by Rossman's. You generate a fair bit of it across the road, and it seems daft not to be able to put some of it into your car. I'm looking forward to the time that I can put it into my new ute, but that could be some time coming. And I'm sure Fonterra will be quite keen because we've got an electric tanker that's on the road, and we'll probably be keen to pull up every now and then and charge her up as well. So yes, let's go for it. Let's get some things going.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm very keen for it. I'm also keen to get one in Mangakino too. So if there's some opportunity to flag that, yeah.
Excellent, thanks.
Through the chair, what we can do is when we put this through and we speak to the company again, we'll just make mention of that we are looking at. You guys would welcome another application through to Mangakino.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm in favour of it.
Okay then. All right, so we have a mover. Is that
I'll
you,
move,
Mark?
Madam Chair.
All right, and seconder.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, you have talked to Russman's about it, I suppose.
Yes, I approached them initially, so there's a written approval and with the attachments.
Beauty.
And then, so 4.5 annual plan submission. So we had our workshop on the annual plan, and Rose has kindly put together a document for us to our submission, draft submission to have a look at. Rose, are you going to put that on the screen?
I will try and do that. I'm not very good at this stuff, but I think screen. Can you see that?
No.
Hang on.
It's coming, I think. It's in the spiral of death, Rose.
Oh, yeah, we got it.
Got it.
Oh, you're gone completely. Oh, here we go.
I'm just trying to make it bigger. There we go. So there's a little bit of an intro at the beginning, and then the main points here is the basketball court development. So that was part of the long-term plan submission. Just to continue with the support there for it to be in town next to the gym. I know that concrete has increased in price, so it could be a good idea to request some extra funding for that. However, just need direction from the group. Also, the footpath installation, is that the one that you were talking about before, Kirsty?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And then number 4, around the lakefront development. I know that a plan's being drawn up, so yeah, basically just saying that we support the decisions made in the long-term plan and to bow waive that rollover of the funds, because I think it was meant for this financial year, and then support the implementation of a development plan for Mangakino.
Yep.
And then a little conclusion, but I wasn't sure if there was anything else. I can add in the part around the funding, central government funding for roading improvements that Kylie talked about just before.
Yep, that'll be great.
Yeah.
Add that. And did anyone else have anything that they wanted to add? No, I think that's covered all the main points.
Yeah, so I'll just add in the extra point around the central government funding for increased roading and
Yeah, somewhere there you'd be putting that, yeah.
Yeah, very disappointing to see that there was no funding.
And just at 4.0, if we can just put Mangakino lakefront development, that'd be great.
Yeah. Did you want me to circulate it to the group as well?
Yes,
before it
please.
goes in? Yeah, I'll definitely do that. So I think submissions close the 13th, so tomorrow, or the 14th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. So, oh, what's happened? So our recommendation to receive. Oh, my next minute, sorry. Yeah, to make a submission on the district plan. So, oh, sorry, Shani. Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was just going to suggest that you might like to consider, similar to what you did for the speed management plan, as well as making a submission along the lines that you've just discussed, that the group delegates the authority to the Deputy Chair to lodge that submission. Comfortable with that? Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have a mover and a seconder.
I'll do that, Madam Chair.
Okay, and the seconder. I'm going to make you do it, memory. Thank you, memory. No, that's awesome. Okay, so the next one, oh, we've done this draft speed management. The next one, community engagement update. Oh, so that was. Community Engagement and Development Manager. So,
kia ora, sorry, technical difficulties there. So obviously we've put this item on the agenda to just touch base and connect in and get feedback around community engagement and how we're engaging with the community. The big thing that we've been doing over the last couple of months is just changing the way we do the annual plan and speed management consultation by trying to kind of come out to the smaller communities. Mangakino obviously not being our smallest, but being one of them, to make sure that we weren't focusing too much in Taupō. So it's worked really well across the district, but just really keen to get some feedback from members, if you have any, around how we can potentially do things differently, or if you support that approach. One of the things that we would like to do more of is actually go to existing meetings. So instead of asking people to come to us, perhaps sort of, if there's, for example, I know Tenohonga, Mark has a group of people that he meets with the brand new swanky new name, coming along and having a chat to members there, but talking to as many members of the community as possible. So just an opportunity to take any feedback or to answer any questions that you might have in the engagement space for this meeting.
No, I think well, I'll give feedback. I just think the communication via email, like the written communication, has been really great, and especially getting Lisa to, she puts things out online on our Facebook pages. Yeah, so I think that part's working really well. Yeah, thanks for just being available. If we need to ring you at any time, you've always been available. It's great.
Oh, no, thank you. Just good to know. We're doing things a bit differently, and we can't tell whether that works until we give it a crack. So it's always good to get the feedback. The other thing we've been trying to do is work with the comms team and do collateral that actually suits the community that we're talking to. There's no point probably telling people in Mangakino about stuff that's happening in Taupō that they probably wouldn't have anything to do with. So yeah, just trying to use these opportunities we have, especially around the annual plan, to share some of the good stuff that we've got coming up, as well as getting feedback from communities on how we're tracking and what they'd like to see us doing. That also feeds into a wider conversation around the long-term plan and how we can support communities to reach those aspirations without always potentially relying on the ratepayer or council to fund those projects. So looking more at partnership opportunities, and we're getting some feedback through what we're doing and having those conversations kanohi ki te kanohi as much as possible when COVID allows, to get some of those aspirations. So.
I was just wondering about small communities. And one of our small communities that we seem to either avoid or we don't seem to have a lot to do with, and that's the village of Aramuri. And everything seems to be pitched with Mangakino and Whakamaru. But Aramuri is a village, nonetheless small, has no commercial operations of shops or service stations. But it is a village where people do live. We just don't do a lot there. Why not? Why aren't we perhaps we should rethink the next placement of our electric car charging, not Mangakino at all, Aramuri. It's a lake there. A lot of people from Auckland come down. Boats are on the lake. Perhaps, yeah, you're talking small villages or small communities. There's one there that I believe we have ignored far too long. What are we going to do about it?
So one of the things we're doing across, there's about 16 communities, or you could say loosely, around the district. And Ātiamura, you're probably right. One of the things that we probably don't have is a contact on the ground, a person that we can get in touch with to help share those messages. So what I might do, Mark, through the chair, is I might just sort of have a chat to you offline around how we can get someone out there who's our person on the ground. I mean, obviously Lisa does a really good job in Mangakino, and we have those connections across the districts, but we'll maybe go out there and have a chat too, if we can get the community together and have a chat to them and make that a starting point and then work from there. I mean, I know Councillor Leonard will be aware we went to River Road recently, and that's, I'd say it's potentially a similarly sized community, a chunk of members of the community there telling us what they didn't like, but the cool thing was they were telling us what they did like as well. So I'd be really, really keen to pick that up with Ātiamura as soon as possible.
Well, if I can assist anywhere there, I think we should be doing something.
Yep, absolutely. I'd love to get us out there a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be good to know how, if there's resident population or if it's pretty much just all holiday homes. It would be, yeah, be good to get that information.
I would say probably 50-50.
Well, I think it would be a lot less residents, I would think, but that's a guess. I don't know. Yeah, but we have installed the defibrillator out there, so we do have a contact.
Find it, believe it or not. Where is it?
Greg, it is still there.
It was. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, it was put on. I was just, when Libby was saying we haven't got a contact there, I thought, no, we have, and just trying to think of her name now. But
Avril?
Yeah, that's right, Avril Boswell. So it was on her house, and the sign was there. But if you can't find it, okay. I was there last week, and I must admit I didn't look for it. I did a tour around the village, but I think that's something with Ātiamura. It's definitely a village of two halves. You have the old hydro village, and then the much older section, which I think was basically forestry originally. I might be wrong, but so a lot of the older houses there. So it's got sort of two parts to that community, and certainly if you drive around the oval, there's very few houses permanently occupied in the hydro part, but in the other part of the village, I think it's there's a lot of permanent residents there.
Okay. Okay, well, that's good. That's something to work towards, getting some good communications out there.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a mover in a seconder. So I'll move that. Can I get a seconder?
Second, Madam Chair.
Memory beat you, I think.
Oh, good eye.
Thank you. Okay, so the next one is update from our community coordinator. So that's Lisa's report. So she's had to leave the meeting. Yeah, so I'll just take that item as read. Did anyone have any comments about that? Okay, we'll take that as read. I definitely know that the firewood initiative has been really well taken up this year. So that's good. We've got people saving up during the year to get their firewood, so they're having nice dry firewood to use. So it's been a great initiative as well. Okay, so we'll move that.
I'll move that.
Thanks, Farouk. I'll second it, thank you. Okay, so 4.9, community issues. So I just had one that I was just going to raise, and that's just in regards to the Mangakino Golf Club. So just in regards to flagging that a mower might be something that is needed, and I don't know when that might be, but just Kinloch in the last long-term plan got a new mower, and we've sort of always just tried to make do with what we had, but we did get funding to get part of a mower. But yeah, so just flagging that in the future they might be coming to ask for some support towards a new mower. So I just thought I'd add that. And the other one, memory, did you want to add anything about representation? Or I can?
I haven't properly thought about it yet.
Oh, okay, yep. No, that's all right. I just I flagged today. We have a hui with councillors just in the morning, and I just flagged that it might be good to have some of the council team go around and discuss what Māori representation sort of looks like under the new structure, and going around to perhaps to the marae or different hapu, and I think that is planned, in just what it's sort of going to look like, what we envisage that will look like. So with the 2 Māori seats, they can be any person can be appointed like anywhere within the district, but ensuring that we still have that voice for Mangakino would be to just ensure that we still have that Mangakino-Pouakani Representation Group, and have those voices on that group. Yeah, but just Libby, were you able to talk with the team to see whether that might be able to even come out to Mangakino and discuss that, how that might look?
Probably, I might have a catch up with you offline if that's okay, just to talk through that. But yeah, definitely keen to push that forward if we can.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you as well, Libby. Being the Māori rep for our ward has been a little bit difficult in trying to work out how I can best represent our whānau, and being able to get out there and have discussions with all the different Māori hapu hasn't been something that's been done as yet. So perhaps we have a yarn about that.
Right. And through the chair, we've got David Ramaka, who I believe you'll know, in our iwi and co-governance team. And that might be a good place to start as well. His team is growing, very similar position to ours. Time is not our friend at the moment, but I think he'd be very happy to have a conversation with you. Really keen to tautoko that as well. But yeah, obviously you've got the interest there for it. It's maybe just putting some helping you with that structure if that's going to be beneficial. So yeah, happy to chat.
Yeah, I think it would be good to be part of that conversation. I think the conversation needs to be had with the new structure and what that looks like for us here. I know that there's 2 Māori seats, but for us as Wairarapa whānau, what does that look like for us, you know, as a minority? pretty much. But like that place, who was that other woman that was talking? Is she from Mokai? Yeah, so anyway, but I mean, it would be good if the rep group exists and carries on to exist. It might be okay.
And through the chair, through the upcoming, and I don't want to speak for my colleagues that work more in the governance space, but through the upcoming elections, there may be an opportunity to wānanga and talk through what that looks like in the future. So very happy to support that. And it's obviously a big push for council around that Māori representation going forward.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to work, figure out ways to be more inclusive. So if you've got ideas, that will be good. Okay, any other community issues?
I've just got one that's a little bit left field, and it goes back to Aramuri, and we're having a bit of difficulty around the Gull service station, which is on State Highway 1, and quite clearly in the South Waikato district area, not ours at all. But it is not safe as far as it's quite a little minefield there. In fact, it's big. I was there the other day. There were cars left, right, centre, turning in, turning out, and we're talking State Highway 1. It'd be interesting to be down there this weekend, which is Easter. I just don't know how well they will fit. As far as I know, there's only been one serious accident there, but it's a disaster waiting to happen. And I was wondering whether Taupō District Council could sort of get something going to alert it, because they very shortly after leaving that service station, if they leave heading south, they're obviously in the Taupō District Council area. It is a South Waikato area. What can we do? Can we do something? Can we talk to NZTA and say, hey, what about some signage? What about something different? Alerting people of the dangers that are just there. So always it's cheapest fuel in New Zealand, so you can imagine State Highway 1, man, they're coming and going. They just,
No, so through the chair, I see a lot of nodding going on. Everyone knows that intersection well. Everyone drives up and down that piece of road. It is something we can definitely have a conversation with Waka Kotahi, where we're in numerous meetings with them very soon around a whole lot of work they're doing around our area, and particularly on State Highway 1. So we can make that, put that on the list to have discussions on it and see what we can do and notify them of the safety issue that we have seen there on regular occurrences. Yeah,
that'd be good. That'd be excellent. Yeah, that'll be really good. We want to maintain that business. We don't want them to say, well, the easiest way to fix this is we'll just take the business away. We don't want that to happen, but we want it to be safe.
Yeah.
Or at least safer than what it is. Thank you.
I wonder, Mark, as part of that, certainly when I am passing and I fuel up there, often the additional pumps are out of action, and I just wonder whether as a community group we could notify Gull of that, because that seems to, when I've been there, cause the issue. So people pull into one pump thinking that they're going to be able to fuel up, that pump's out of action, they then turn around to go back and reline up, and that's all happening on State Highway 1, whereas perhaps if the facility was slightly better maintained and all of the avenues were relatively continually open instead of continually restricted, whether that might alleviate part of the issue as well. But as it's not a manned station, I wonder if they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it actually works, but I'm sure there's somebody that probably doesn't know at one stage when one of the pumps stopped working. So I don't know how it works though. No. So yeah, so perhaps, I don't know how we do that as a community. I don't know.
There's no reason, Kirsty, we can't write a letter as a community group just highlighting these issues to Gull as well. And like Kevin was saying to Waka Kotahi, like I know Kevin can do that as a member of our staff, which is fantastic, but also as a community group, you know, that if we do both, that's actually more voices sending the message. It's not just Kevin presenting at meetings. It's actually us as a community group saying the same things.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that sounds, thanks, Kevin.
Well,
sounds good.
Could we move that? Could we make that as a formal? Can we do that? Can we get a letter sent from our group to Gull, alerting them to the safety issues and the reasons why? Kevin's he'll be further up the system than what we'll be, so it'll be good with Kevin to do it as well with NZTA. It'd be good. I'll move that we send a letter.
And I'll second happily, Mark.
So through the chair, you got enough with that, Janie?
Thank you. Yes.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any other issues? No. Okay, so we'll have a mover and a seconder for that. Yep, thanks, Vidu. Thanks, Memory. Okay, and then last item is members' reports. I was just going to raise that out at Whakamaru in the Forest View Road area. Council are just going out for consultation about linking up some more of the houses with our water system to make it a full circuit. So that's out at the moment, and letters are going out to all of the affected houses and asking for their feedback. So I'll probably just go around to make sure that people have got those letters and can respond, since it's only a few around there. But yeah, that'll just help make water safer in that area for people. And the other one is Balances out there are currently just doing a resource consent about their pond out there. But yep, it's going through a process at the moment, and that's all going well. I think that was my only reports. Anyone else?
I've just got a couple of issues that perhaps, if I could, Madam Chair. Obviously, I've told you that we're going to submit with the speed management plan.
Yep.
Our hall's getting recladded, which is good. A slow job, but hey, building is slow, so we'll just see what happens from here on.
Yeah.
We're really good with Turangi Road having some more improvements again down the bottom end. It's had another coat of seal, and they've gone a bit further with making it wider. So yeah, we're starting to Turangi Road. I mean, the statistics state that it is the most dangerous road that you have in Taupo. Yeah, it's good that it's improving. Excellent. And the Poibu Road improvements down the state, Western Bays End, really good. It's a bit wider. It's well sealed. I drove it yesterday, and really, you have taken an 80-kilometre stretch of road and turned it into, even the windy bits, you can hammer along there at 100 k's without too much trouble at all. So it seems a nonsense that you've spent the money, now you're going to drop the speed limit. It just doesn't make any sense. And I want to talk about the Gull service station. So we've done that as well. And so, yeah, yep, we're all good.
I have nothing to add.
Okay, nothing. Memory, did you have anything? Okay, just the other thing that I was just going to mention, we are looking at going back to doing, for full council, to having meetings in person, and I just wanted to get people's feedback as in, do you want to go back to having meetings in person, or are you preferring to do Zoom at this time? So Mark's for in person.
Yes, Mark wants to come and have coffee with us.
Oh, it's just a lot more fun in person.
It is, Mark.
Life's here to enjoy and not get bogged down.
You realise it's going to take you 10 minutes longer to get to us.
No, I'll go the other way around.
Okay. Okay. Yep. All right. So that's good.
I'm happy in person as well.
So if you're going to put a workshop together, let's do that in person. Got a workshop for the speed management plan.
Yeah, through the chair, I think most of the team are getting together after, it's a couple of weeks away is the first date that we're having the council meeting. And so if it's a couple of weeks away, absolutely, that'll align with everything.
Yeah, so if not, we might have to do it earlier to get it in on time. So we'll just have to check the dates.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Okay. All right then. So can we have a mover and a seconder? That. Thanks, Kylie. Thanks, Memory. Okay, and then that is the end of our hui. So I'll just do I'll just do it again. Okay. Kia tau kia tātou katoa, te atawhai o tō tātou ariki, ai karaiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga tahitanga, ki te wairua tapu, ake, ake, amene.
Okay.